Imagine this. You're at the grocery store, just another day, picking up something for dinner, headphones in, casually checking your phone. Everything feels normal, peaceful. You're just another face in the aisle. But suddenly, screams, flashing lights, a commanding voice behind you. Hands up! You don't even understand what's happening until you feel the cold cuffs snap around your wrists. You're on the ground, surrounded by strangers, humiliated, recorded, judged. Your crime? Being a black woman, and for a certain officer, that was all he needed. But what he didn't know was who you really were and what you had in your pocket, because what you pulled out wasn't a receipt, wasn't an excuse. It was power, federal power, the kind that doesn't shout, it speaks through action. And what happened next shook an entire nation. So stay until the end, because you're about to see how one woman, without raising her voice, made an entire system tremble with something as simple as an ID badge. And if you believe, like we do, that these stories deserve to be told, subscribe, hit the bell, because the truth doesn't scream, but when it's told, it shakes the world. It all started like any other Sunday afternoon. The city moved with that familiar weekend calm. Families shopping, kids running through aisles, the kind of ordinary chaos that feels almost comforting. Among them, just another woman walked into the supermarket like she had done dozens of times before. Relaxed, unbothered, certain of where everything was. Her name, Talia Morgan, 33 years old, African American, Harvard graduate with honors, criminal analyst for the FBI, a woman with a spotless record, decorated for cracking some of the state's toughest cases. But today, she just wanted a box of cereal, almond milk, and a quiet night at home. Wearing a gray hoodie, jeans, headphones, and a calm, peaceful vibe. Nothing unusual, nothing threatening, just another woman in aisle 7. Until Officer David Brenner laid eyes on her. From the very first moment, witnesses say he couldn't stop staring. Fixed, calculating. He didn't look at her with curiosity. He looked at her with suspicion. Why? No one knew for sure. Maybe it was the color of her skin. Maybe it was the way she walked, confident, upright. Maybe it was the fact that she didn't look away when their eyes met. But something about Talia's presence made him feel small, threatened, inferior. And that feeling? It triggered him. He followed her around the store, unnoticed, watching her every move, how she scanned items, how she compared prices, how she checked her grocery list on her phone. In his mind, Brenner wasn't seeing a shopper. He was building a target, a threat that needed to be handled. He mumbled something into his radio, his tone, urgent, but the reality? There was no threat, no theft, no complaint, just a decision. One that would flip multiple lives upside down. Without warning, as if tackling an armed suspect in the middle of a crime, he lunged. "Don't move! Hands where I can see them!" Talia turned slowly, removing one headphone. Confusion all over her face, but her voice? Calm. "Excuse me? I said hands up, now!" The entire store froze. The air turned heavy. Shoppers fell silent. A kid dropped his cereal box. A teen pulled out his phone. A woman backed away with her cart. Time stopped, as injustice unfolded in real time. Talia gently placed her basket on the floor, raised her hands. She didn't understand, but her FBI training had taught her. Don't escalate. Stay composed. Be smart. "Sir, I don't understand what's going on." But Brenner wasn't looking to understand. He was looking to dominate. His voice shook, not from fear, but from the rage of not having control from the beginning. "You match a suspect. You're resisting. Don't push me." It was rehearsed, a line he barely believed himself, and before she could respond, he grabbed her arm, hard, twisted her, threw her to the ground, pressed her face against the cold supermarket tiles, cuffed her wrists, while phones recorded, while children stared in shock, while angry parents began to shout. One woman, one cop, one arrest without cause. A colossal mistake, a blatant act of racism. And what happened next would explode in the face of an entire system. Stay tuned. Because what came after wasn't just justice, it was a reckoning. Talia lay face down on the cold supermarket floor, her cheek pressed against the tile, her wrists crushed by handcuffs, her dignity scattered between boxes of cereal. Around her, a storm was building, murmurs swelling like a wave, people filming, people whispering, wondering what she had done, people assuming exactly what Officer Brenner had assumed. But she didn't scream. She didn't cry. She didn't resist. She did something no one expected. With a voice so calm, so unnervingly steady in the middle of chaos, she said, "Check my inner pocket, left side." Brenner frowned. For a split second, ego wrestled with doubt. What if it was a weapon? A setup? But something in Talia's gaze, even from the ground, told him this wasn't a threat. It was a lesson. The crowd wasn't just filming anymore, they were watching. Phones lowered, eyes widened, zoomed-in lenses trying to capture every twitch, every syllable. Silence spread like a fog through the aisle. With shaking hands, Brenner reached into the pocket she had mentioned. He pulled out a black leather wallet, opened it, and there it was, an ID official, undeniable, FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Name, Talia Morgan. Photo, her. Authenticity, unquestionable. The world didn't stop because of the badge. It stopped because of the truth it revealed, because of what that simple piece of plastic said about everything that had just happened. They had arrested a federal agent for being black. Brenner froze, his throat clenched, his mind scrambling for something, anything to say. What is this?" he stuttered, his voice cracking. Talia raised her head slightly, still in cuffs, and with a calm only someone trained to face danger could muster, she replied, "What you just did is a federal offense." The words dropped like a verdict. The only sound that followed was the click of the cuffs unlocking. Brenner's hands trembled, not from anger now, but from the creeping horror of what he had just done, and what it meant for his future. But it was too late. A store employee, pale-faced and red-uniformed, stepped forward, his voice shaky but resolute. Everything was recorded, from the moment she walked in. Another customer, phone still rolling, raised their voice. "We saw it. She didn't do anything. He followed her from the start, and while the aisle burned with tension. On Twitter, the wildfire had already begun. The video of Talia, handcuffed on the floor, saying, "Check my pocket," was already racking up thousands of retweets. Verified accounts were weighing in. Journalists were demanding statements. A hashtag exploded across screens. # Agent Talia, and right behind it. A more furious one, # Badge of Bias. This story no longer belonged to the supermarket. It didn't belong to Brenner, not even to Talia. Now, it belonged to everyone. Only 57 minutes had passed from the moment Talia was handcuffed to the moment her name became a global trend. Talia Morgan, 5 countries, millions of views, hundreds of thousands of comments. In just under an hour, what began as a silent injustice in a supermarket aisle erupted into a deafening digital outcry. The images spoke louder than any headline. A black woman, calm, handcuffed unjustly, looking directly at the camera, with a dignity no one could strip away. News anchors interrupted broadcasts. Breaking: Officer illegally detains FBI agent in racial profiling incident. Federal investigation launched after viral supermarket arrest. Racial tensions reignite debate over U.S. policing practices. Phones lit up across the country. News sites crashed from the traffic, and inside the precinct where Officer David Brenner worked, the call came in. From Washington, from FBI headquarters, from the top. The message was clear: immediate investigation, immediate suspension, no honors, no excuses, no silence. David Brenner was relieved of duty that same day. He wasn't just a cop with poor judgment anymore. He was now the face of a systemic failure. And the world was watching. Meanwhile, Talia, the woman who stayed silent when she had every reason to scream, received a formal visit, a personal apology, signed by the director of the FBI, sealed by the very agency she vowed to protect. But for her, that wasn't enough. In a nationally televised interview during prime time, with millions watching, Talia didn't seek revenge. She didn't demand punishment. She didn't speak from hate. She asked for something more powerful. "This isn't just about me," she said, eyes locked on the camera. "It's about every black person who's been stopped, humiliated, or dismissed, just for existing. What happened to me isn't new. The only difference is this time someone was recording. And this time I had a badge." Her words weren't just heard. They were felt, shared, echoed. Millions reposted her speech. Activists quoted her. Teachers brought her into their classrooms. Even some retired officers finally began to speak out. Something had shifted. It wasn't just a trending hashtag. It was a mirror, and no one could look away. From that day on, Talia Morgan wasn't just an FBI agent. She was a symbol, a wound made visible, a scar that for the first time began to heal, with justice, with visibility, and with the most powerful weapon of all, truth. What started as a simple trip to the grocery store became a national echo that still resonates in every corner of the country. It wasn't a protest. It wasn't a premeditated viral moment. It was an ordinary day that exposed an extraordinary wound. Talia Morgan didn't raise her voice. She didn't curse. She didn't let hate consume her. Amid cameras, shouting, and humiliation, she chose something more powerful: dignity. While lying on the ground, judged not by her actions, but by her skin, she remembered who she was. And instead of answering with anger, she let her story speak. She pulled out a badge, just a simple piece of leather with a golden seal. But in that moment, it meant so much more. It meant she wasn't alone. It meant that behind that title stood someone with integrity, with courage, with a truth too powerful to ignore. Talia didn't take down one officer. She exposed a lie upheld for generations, the false belief that respect is earned through a uniform and not through humanity. She reminded us of something essential. Justice doesn't always arrive with sirens or headlines. Sometimes it comes with a calm, composed black woman who looks her oppressor in the eye and says, "Check my pocket." And you, watching this right now, remember this name: Talia Morgan. Because the next time someone judges you for how you look, how you speak, where you come from, I want you to remember, you're not here to fit into anyone's prejudice. You're here to shatter it. If this story moved you, if it made you think, subscribe, share this video, and help us make sure more people hear the truth. Because every story like this that gets told is one less they get to silence.